So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And today our special guest is Albert de Vos. He was a former board member of the N.V.A, the Dutch Acupuncture Association. He's one of the founding members of Etcma, the European Traditional Chinese Medicine Association. And he was the former treasurer, former CEO, and former president of Etcma. And currently he's the honorary member and advisor for Etcma. So welcome, Mr. de Vos.
Thank you.
Can you tell us something about the organization or the structure of Etcma?
Etcma is an association of associations. The members of this European TCM association are all professional associations in their countries. A normal professional association in one of the countries, they unite the practitioners. And the Etcma unite the organizations. So actually we started in 2002 with about 7 member associations of 7 countries. And I understand that there are now already something like 31 associations are member of the Etcma. Still, there's room to grow.
That's a lot. That's a lot of countries, and these are all in Europe, or they're slightly outside of Europe?
It's almost only Europe, and of course, people from outside Europe or organizations can become an affiliated member.
Okay.
So it sounds a lot, 31, but there are associations, and that doesn't mean that there are also 31 European countries who are involved. Because, for instance, in the Netherlands, there are 2 associations who are a member. In Ireland, there are 3. In Belgium, there are 3. So,
okay, yeah. So in that way, it adds up. There are more members, but these members are multiple associations within one country.
Yeah.
What was your motivation, your drive? Within the TCMA, I mean, to come up with an idea like this or to form it?
As you said in the beginning, I was also a member of the Dutch Acupuncture Association. And I see it very good for practitioners to become a member of the national association. Because as a practitioner, you are rather lonely in your clinic. Of course, you talk with the patients, but that's it. That's also from the patients talk more to you than you are really capable of talking about your profession. So I think it's very good to unite with other practitioners to and the organization who's leading that can solve maybe problems with the government, with insurance companies, and so on. But then again, there is also these associations. They have to open up to the world, and in that way, my idea was that a European TCM association can help them in the same way as the national organization helps the practitioners. And Etcma is an umbrella organization in Europe. And under this umbrella are the associations of the countries. And an umbrella gives you shelter, helps you, hopefully protect you.
If you have that limitation within your national organization, you thought maybe other European countries probably also have these limitations. So it would be best to have an international umbrella organization, right?
Yeah, because a lot of people, a lot of countries, associations in the different countries, they have problems with their government, with other sort of problems, and they think that they are unique in their problems. Actually, they are not unique because almost all countries, in all countries, the associations have the same problems. And such an umbrella organization can maybe help them to talk to each other in other countries. How did you solve that problem? How did you do that? And in that way, you can come maybe to a solution.
So the way I see it, if you're dealing with associations, what should the general public know about ETCMA? So I mean, people in general, so who are not thinking these steps ahead within their national organization.
Well, Dopey, that is the problem. I think because the ETCMA is there for the national association, the general public doesn't know that much about the ETCMA because they are helping. For instance, you are a member of an association and you don't know that much about the umbrella what's above your association because that is not important for you. You find it important that your practitioner is good schooled, that the government doesn't do things that are bad for your profession, that insurance companies give a refund for your patients. That's the important thing for a patient. But what's important for the association, there are a lot of legal stuff. You know, how is it that a doctor, a non-MD, can puncture the skin with a needle? In the old rules, there was a law that said that only medical doctors are allowed to penetrate the skin. Mm-hmm. That comes from the time that there were markets, and there were those people who came there with a knife and they cut in a person who has an inflammation. You know, all those non-medical doctors were doing a lot of things, also terrible things. And then this law came. That's actually an international law. I think it's done by Napoleon, but I don't know for sure. That you are, only if you're a medical doctor, you're allowed to cut the skin, to put a knife, to put something in the skin that penetrates the skin. They didn't know that there was acupuncture in that time. In Europe, they hardly knew. Later that came, and so they found out that the law was maybe a little bit, was not good enough. And that's why it's important that we all in Europe, but not only in Europe, in America, United States, in Australia, that we talk together and how to solve this problem.
What are the strengths of the ETCMA?
The strength is that we are combining a lot of informations, that we are trying to raise the level of schooling in Europe in our members to a higher level. And the strength is also knowledge. We are together, we have a lot of knowledge, and we should use that knowledge. But the problem is, in this, is always communications. How to communicate with the public, but what's most important, how to communicate with your members.
Also, I also think that, well, maybe that's not one of the tasks for the ETCMA, but they can make their members being the national associations, also aware to communicate to their practitioners. I mean, because like you said, if you're a member for your national association, you don't get to hear as much about the ETCMA. So
No.
maybe it would be a good message to send out from without the ETCMA to their members to relay it to their practitioners.
Yeah, that's true. That's something what bothers me a lot. They should inform their members more about the ETCMA.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's already for years one of our big items, and maybe with the young generation who's coming into the ETCMA, who is more connected like you do now, with internet, with filming, and so on. The member associations of ETCMA shouldn't be the filter of what ETCMAs do. It's too often it was like that the ETCMA is doing something, and then there is a person who should, in a member association, who should give the word to the practitioners, but they have already cut parts of this information away.
So the national associations, right now, the information is getting filtered through their channels, but it should be more directly delivered to the members.
And ETCMA has no influence on that filter. Of course, every member association is responsible for everything what is said and told and explained to their members. But the bad thing about it is that that person who is filtering the information can filter also too much. So maybe organizations who are filtering information are a little bit out of date.
Yeah, because like you said, nowadays there could be much better and closer communication from someone within a national association with the ETCMA.
Yeah.
To get the message across more directly to their members.
Yeah. Well, there's also, of course, there's a language problem, but almost all people in the world understand English, English information. It was more easy and more cheaper not to translate everything in Dutch or in French or in German and so on.
Yeah, of course. So what made you decide because you were president for a while, right, at the ETCMA?
Yeah.
And what made you decide to retire as president, or was it just a term?
Well, there were two things. There were terms, and I thought it was the end of my term. And another thing is, I was also thinking about, if I stay on as president, and after I was first a foundation member, then I became treasurer, then I became CEO, and then the president, that if I don't go away, if I don't retire, I am blocking the future for a new ETCMA. There should be younger people coming in, and they should get their new ideas in. And if I sit there, no one can sit on the chair because I sit there. So you have to give younger people a chance to make new decisions and new ideas. The older people, they can be advisors, but the younger ones, they should come up and they should carry the organization.
Well, I think it's great that you're staying on as advisor to guide the younger generation, because someone with your experience within any organization, from start to finish.
That's right. A good organization should use the knowledge and the experience of the elders who step down from their jobs.
Right.
Otherwise, all knowledge is suddenly gone.
And is there anything that in all your years of involvement and still with ETCMA, anything specifically creative or innovative that you've done during your time and would like to share, or something that you're proud of that you've done specifically within ETCMA?
Well, Dobie, if we started with 7 and we have now 31 members, that is something that really I'm proud of, and still I'm proud of how we managed to make an European association. And for me, the E from Europe in the ETCMA was very important. I wanted to have an independent European association, not like when we started, there were countries who offered us help, financial help. But that was also combined often with their help was also, they wanted to buy influence for it. And I want to make it clear that we are a European association. And I'm very proud about it, that we managed to organize this. And that was one of the goals in my life was.
I hear you're very proud about the whole process, the whole ETCMA in general.
Yes. Yeah. It was not easy. It was not but we managed, and I had to fight for this for this Europe, and I'm still proud of it that I managed to keep it that way.
And also, you mentioned you're proud also of the way it's association, but it's a European association, but it's independent, right?
That was not easy, though, because, for instance, one of the problems the ETCMA had was lack of money, lack of resources. And with that, you can buy a lot of things. And there were organizations outside Europe who wanted to help us, to sponsor us, but that if someone gives you a lot of money, you want something back for it. And so you have to make a choice, either independency or more money. I choose for the independency.
You chose for the independence. Okay. And so for the future, where do you see the ETCMA heading in the future?
I think the ETCMA is already, but becoming more, a very important organization on the field of TCM. We already had talks with the World Health Organization in the past, but it should be like that. ETCMA should be so powerful that they become a partner in discussions in Europe about our profession.
What can member associations, so the national organizations, directly benefit from if you become a member of the ETCMA?
It's their profession who benefits. And if your profession is like that a patient, a person goes to a practitioner and he wanted to know, is that a real good one, good schooled? He does, every year he goes to extra days in his schooling and so on. Someone should guard it. And the national associations should guard it. And then this umbrella organization, ETCMA, they guard that the National Professional Association really do this. It's something that makes you sometimes not popular by the local associations. They don't want somewhere an ETCMA guy says, hey, you said that your practitioners need so many hours of ETCMA, of TCM schooling, and now you don't do it, and you don't do it. That's not what was our appointment.
Mm-hmm.
So this control, and also the knowledge what goes around. You know, every surgeon has contact with other professionals in the world, and he gets information how to do his job, something changed, and so on. And that's what the ETCMA should do. We should raise the standard of the practitioners in Europe.
Yeah, that's a very, very noble cause. So you're safeguarding, really, like you said, our profession by safeguarding quality, spreading correct information, and keeping education at a high standard.
Yes, that's what it's about, high standard. I had this discussion also with organizations of the medical doctors, and I said that your standards of training in TCM are too low. And I said, I think that the responsibility of umbrella organizations is to make the level higher. Not to guard it when it's too low, no, to make it higher, to get better practitioners. And that means you protect your profession. And it doesn't matter what sort of profession in the world you're doing, you should protect the standards and to make the standards higher so the patients will have better practitioners.
So for example, because maybe this is a bit on a side note, but the Dutch associations, there are two that are members of the ETCMA, NVTCG Zong, right? And the other one is NVA probably?
Yeah.
But the NAAV for the Physicians Medical Association is not a member of the ETCMA.
Yeah.
And is this because their education is, they have their own education, which is, I believe it's 1 year for medical doctors. Is this one of the reasons why? Because you just said like there are certain standards, you think?
Yes, I think that in a lot of countries in the world, there are medical doctors who are doing acupuncture, for instance, acupuncture. And with the idea behind it, I'm a medical doctor, so I know everything, so I can also do acupuncture. And they have hardly any training. And then they are needlers. They only are needling. They are not acupuncturists, they are needlers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I give a patient herbs, and I get the herbs out of a paper on the booklet, and it says if a patient has pain in his belly or that and that and that, I give him that and that preparat, you know. That doesn't. Then he doesn't understand what the problem for the patient is. He only and the same is if I say I have a pain in my shoulder, put a needle there, but that doesn't mean that you understand what the problem is with the patient.
Yeah, you don't have the whole concept of the TCM theory.
Absolutely, and TCM is a non-linear way of thinking. It is not there's not only one. Here you have A here and B there, and that's one line. No, you have to make other lines, and then you come to a complex. And that is TCM, is complex thinking.
Yeah, right. So yeah, but I agree. There should be more years added and more experience added to the education, even if you're an MD already. If you want to do traditional Chinese medicine, you should do at least, you know, the recommended or the 4 or 5 years that it takes generally
Yeah.
to learn TCM theory.
You know, this difference between linear thinking and complex thinking is not something you just learn like that. It takes a lot of time to get this in your system.
By the way, so this concept, what you're saying also, for instance, they have a shortage in the medical doctors. If they only do a course for 1 year, what do you think about physical therapists that perform dry needling?
Well, I'm originally also a physical therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I think dry needling is a form of acupuncture. I have no problem that people are using acupuncture, but I have a problem that they are using acupuncture and they're not good trained.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone wants to call acupuncture dry needling, then I think that's okay, but he should be trained in a good way. And that is what sometimes is a problem. Physical therapists are using acupuncture as a sort of tool, not about with a sort of knowledge. They just use it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do the same, they make the same mistakes as a medical doctor who thinks I have to be modern. And he tells the patient, I will give you acupuncture, and he just puts some needles in without.
So they should get proper training.
Yeah. And a lot of acupuncturists know what can go wrong with dry needling because the persons who are giving the dry needling are not trained in a proper way. And later, the patients, they go to a real acupuncturist and they are thinking, oh, what this guy did or this woman did, it's completely wrong.
I definitely think we should work towards that. So medical doctors and physical therapists, if they want to perform acupuncture, they should definitely, get not only more training, but in my opinion, should do the education for acupuncture, for traditional Chinese medicine.
You know that I don't want to go into discussion how many hours of schooling, of training you should have as an acupuncturist, but there are a couple of workshops you can do for dry needling, and the difference between those workshops is so tremendous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, one is maybe 100 hours, and another said you have to have 300 hours. What says us? What if you have 300 hours of dry needling training? What does it says about your colleague who only have maybe 80 hours, 70?
So within the dry needling community, it's not even regulated how many hours.
No. Actually, the acupuncture society world is also not regulated, and that's what the Etcma wanted to do, to give some more regulation in it, to show what is a good training, and what is a training what's not good enough. I especially don't use the word bad training, but not enough.
Yeah, I know, but that's also why you distinguish, of course, your member associations. You're not going to accept a member association that has insufficient standards, right?
Absolutely. And if you want to be a member of the Etcma, you agree that your members have a higher level of standard of schooling than maybe people who are not a member of the Etcma.
But in the end, of course, it's all to benefit our professional to lift everything up to a higher
Yeah.
level, even the ones that are
Absolutely.
currently not up to standard now, but you just want to lift everything up, right?
Yes. And that's all for the benefit of the patients.
Yes, of course.
We shouldn't forget that.
Yeah. That's the real goal, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And often people in healthcare, they forget that they are there. They are there because of the patients, not the other way around. So the most important in our profession is that are the patients who need our help.
I think that's a very noble and clear and optimistic vision for the goals in the future for ETCMA.
But I also wanted to say that this being in the ETCMA is a political job. You have to cope with the culture in different countries where people look upon healthcare in a different way. Their emotions about managing an organization are all different. So it is a very political job to be the head of a European TCM association. And that's something that a lot of people who are coming into the board of the ETCMA, they forget. They're thinking, I'm going to do something what is related to my profession. But the problem is they have to do more political activities. It's actually like you're a practitioner and you have a patient in front of you. You have to understand why this patient has this problem, how it comes, what the influences are. And the same you do if you talk with someone from Great Britain or from China or Japan. You also have to understand their way of thinking. I would like you to interview also Niels van Belau. This is the German who was also founding member. Who's a good friend of mine. He was also the chairman of the German association, the HGTCM, who is also a member association of the ETCMA. Clever guy.
Yeah. Soon I'll reach out to him. I've already done my homework on him.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Yes, we have a beautiful profession. Working with patients and trying to solve their problems is one of the most beautiful jobs you can have. I give advice to people who I talk to every year, students of university, and I tell them, sometimes you have to say to a patient, look, I know what you have. I know what the problem is, but now we have another problem, how to solve it. And you have sometimes to overstep your own shadow, you know, to tell, I don't know. The most beautiful thing a patient once said to me, she said, the problem I came with you, it's not solved, but I feel so much better since the treatment. And for an acupuncturist, that is the biggest compliment you can have, because you don't treat only that problem of the patient. You try to solve, to treat the whole body. I think we have a beautiful profession, really. This is one of the most beautiful jobs in the world, and not the easiest job.
I'd like to thank you, Mr. De Vos, for this interview, because I see you're very invested and you really care about this organization. So I wish you all the best and hope you can reach your goals in the future with the ETCMA.
Thank you, Dopi, and thank you very much for interviewing me. I have great beliefs in people like you who are bringing our profession into the world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you again next time.